YouTube as well? Awesome. Okay, well we're gonna wait just a minute. Do you see we are prepared with notes today because we've received so many awesome questions about essential oils and autoimmune disease. So we are going to just let people start joining. Where am I going? And then we'll start in just about a minute or so. I see we're getting lots of people joining on Instagram. I don't see any comments on Facebook and YouTube yet, Danny.
We have, I'm not commenting to you guys, hold on. IzCam02 says hello from Georgia. Nez says good morning.
Catherine Fanta says hello, you're our first comment.
We've got LJP O'Meyer who says hello from Wisconsin.
Hello. Pete, I saw you sent in a question.
Hi, Pete.
Pete sent in a question, so I have that printed off here, as well as a lot of other people. But Pete's been a customer a long time, and his name is always capitalized.
That's what made it stand out to me the most, is like Pete.
Pete. So it was really easy to see. So I know Pete sent in a question. So we're excited. Got notified for Indra.
Hopefully, maybe that means Insta.
Oh, Insta.
Oh, yes.
Pete, is that what you meant? Got notified for Insta? It says Indra. I was very confused. And I don't know what's happening. We're just gonna thank you for joining. Seriously, we received so many great questions and just a lot of interaction. And so we're excited to do this live. If you didn't watch last Friday's live, this is a question that kept getting brought up, and so that is why we chose to do it. That's why we chose to do this live today, because of how many questions we got about autoimmune disease and using essential oils during our last Friday's live.
Yeah.
So if you didn't watch that last Friday's live, I would recommend you do. It was just a Q&A with us three of Plant Therapy certified aromatherapists. So we talk a lot about essential oils in general, how can they be used, different safety aspects of them. We talked about education, how do you get your certificate in aromatherapy, what does that look like? Anyway, so it was really a great live and a ton of awesome questions, and so go check out last Friday's live if you haven't. You can find it on any of the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Our lives, although we do record them live, they stay on those channels long term, so you can go to those and have access to any previous live that we've done in the past. Okay, so I think we are probably good to start.
Yeah,
A lot of people have joined in, and I think we're good to start. So really fast, I want to just mention that as certified aromatherapists, we will not be diagnosing or treating any autoimmune diseases today. A lot of the questions that we had were very specific to, I have this, can essential oils treat it, get rid of it? And that is not what certified aromatherapists should or can be doing. We are not qualified to be doing that. So where we're really going to focus, and especially with the questions we receive, and then we can also address some questions that we get today during the live, but really where we want to focus is those with autoimmune diseases. How can you start safely introduce essential oils into your life? What are the steps to do that, to make sure that you are doing it correctly so that it isn't making, having the opposite effect of what you want it to? And also, what are some symptoms that essential oils can address? And that's really where the power of essential oils come in. Although we aren't going to be treating autoimmune diseases, we know that people with autoimmune diseases have, this huge array of different symptoms, and that's where we really want to focus with some of your questions today. So that's just like, high-level disclaimer. As we are going through this, we ask that you don't talk about how we can treat your autoimmune disease, because unfortunately we won't be able to, but we can have questions about, what are your symptoms, what are you most struggling with, and then how can essential oils help those symptoms. So that's the plan for today.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I think the most important place to start is kind of at the foundation. Like Retha talked about, how do you start to use essential oils if you have an autoimmune disease? Because I know there's a lot of mystery behind whether or not you can use essential oils with autoimmune disease, especially those that are known as immune modulators that may amp up the immune system. And so when you're approaching the use of essential oils with an autoimmune disease, it's really important to start low and slow.
Yeah.
We recommend starting with maybe 1 or 2 oils. We recommend starting with really low dilutions in order to ensure that you're kind of slowly ramping up. You can start with a low amount and work your way up as needed and really monitor the symptoms that you see from using essential oils or the benefits, however that plays out. There are some essential oils that have constituents that have been shown to be immune stimulating, whether that's in a petri dish or actually in the body. And with those essential oils, we're not saying you can't use them, but we are saying take it easy, start slow, use those low dilutions, and make sure that you're just slowly introducing them to ensure that you're not causing an adverse reaction. It is very individual. Everyone is different, right? So it's important to figure out what works for you and your individual disease or disorder.
Yeah, I love the idea for this particular situation to keep a journal. Like, keep track of what oils you're trying, their dilution, the method that you're using to see if it helps you or if it causes an adverse reaction. So that way you can remember like what specifically is helping you and what do you want to avoid. It's with really essential oils in general, it's very difficult to give a blanket statement. And with autoimmune issues in particular, there's so many different types of autoimmune diseases. So it's, somebody with RA, arthritis, may need something very different than somebody with IBS, so it's important to consider what you need and how you're specifically reacting to those oils. So keeping a journal is a really good way to monitor your usage and what you think is going to work best for you.
And monitoring your test results too, right? I think that's so important. And as you're implementing essential oils into your routine, working with your doctor to, one, ensure that essential oils are a good fit for you, but also it helps you to monitor changes over time. And having your care provider looped in on what you're doing from a holistic standpoint does nothing but benefit that conversation.
Yeah.
April Maria says, yes, my friend that has an autoimmune disease says her doctor says not to use essential oils. And it is important to talk to your doctor because like we've mentioned and like Katrina just specifically said, there are so many different autoimmune diseases. So it's hard to say, anybody, can use essential oils or nobody with an autoimmune disease can. Talk to your doctor. There might be some, and depending on, how extensive or how extreme, right, the autoimmune disease, because that can also vary from person to person who has the same autoimmune disease. So depending on that, your doctor might not recommend it, or as you do research and you can talk and share that with your doctor, it might be something like Emily mentioned, as you're monitoring your test results and how you're feeling, that you can work with your doctor to do it. So definitely talk to your doctor if that's a concern to you. And especially as if you're just moving into essential oils and you have an autoimmune disease and it's always best to just start with your doctor and then do the research yourself and then share that research and work with your doctor on how you can start introducing essential oils into your life.
And it may be best to just as you're starting your journey to avoid some of those oils that we've talked about that have constituents that are shown to have some immune stimulating properties. Some of those constituents are carbone, which is found in spearmint, limonene, which is found in a lot of your citrus oils, beta-caryophyllene, which is in copaiba and in black pepper. So there are some constituents that you may want to just take a look at avoiding, knowing that. Again, it is very individual and you do have to figure out what works best for you. For example, if you're diluting a lemon essential oil to 1% and using that topically, only about 10% of what you're applying to your skin is actually absorbed. So with it containing limonene, yes, there is some level of exposure, but it's very, very minuscule. So for one person, that may not have any effect. For someone else who is much more sensitive, then it could have an effect. So you really have to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. And we are going to get to these questions, but I did want to let you know that we do have a blog post. If you just search autoimmune on our blog, we do have a blog post that talks about using essential oils with autoimmune disease, and it does talk about some essential oils that maybe don't start with and then later slowly introduce them into your essential oil use. But what I really appreciated about this blog post was the comments, actually. Mm-hmm. So many customers got on the comments of this blog post and shared their personal experience. And comment after comment, customers talked about how when they started slowly, they were able to eventually introduce a lot of these essential oils back into their routine that they couldn't use at one time, right? Like as you work with your doctor and you get the autoimmune disease sometimes more under control, then sometimes you can start to introduce these or whatever it might be. So I would highly recommend, because these are actual individual experiences that have autoimmune disease and how they went. And so I would recommend just taking a look, because I really just appreciated a lot of the different comments and some of the back and forth that was on those comments between customers. So it is not a new blog. Anna's asking if it's a new blog. It is one of our older blogs. Yes, essential oils and autoimmune disease. I'll make sure that is the one I'm reviewing. Yes, essential oils and autoimmune disease. That is what the blog post is called. And again, the blog post has essential oils that might be a little bit easier to start with, some that you might want to stay away from a little bit, but specifically I thought the comments were just really useful reading them. It helped me understand a lot about like customer, individual experiences, which I think is just hugely beneficial.
Tammy is mentioning that she wants to write down some of those constituents, and what we could easily do, Tammy, is take a look at this blog and see if we can update it to include some of that.
That's a great idea.
So we will make sure that gets taken care of, Tammy, so you don't have to worry about writing them all down.
Yeah, and that way we can do a more inclusive that includes more.
Robust?
Yeah, sure. We're going to go with that one. We're going to go with a more robust list.
Yeah.
Instead of the ones that Em can just think off of the top of her head right now, we'll make sure that we're including all the ones that we feel are best to include. So we'll get that blog post updated for everyone. Okay, so one of the first questions we got, and we actually got it a few times, are there any specific oils people with autoimmune disorders should avoid? So we did talk about that there are definitely some that with an autoimmune disease, your body is hyped, right? Your immune response is hyped, which then
you don't want to continue to stimulate your
especially if it's attacking your healthy cells.
Exactly.
And so like Emily had talked about, there are some constituents that are known to do that, and those are the ones that we would originally recommend that you try to avoid.
And there are always great alternatives, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's so many essential oils out there. I mean, Retha, do you know how many different singles we offer off the top of your head?
No, I mean, at one time it was over 200.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be well over 100.
It's definitely, I think like 180.
Yeah.
So there are options out there. If you guys can't use some of those oils that are called out, if they don't work for you, there are always other options that you can look at. One thing that I don't know if we'll get to, but I did want to mention because it has been brought up on Instagram, is using products that are maybe a little bit more gentle than essential oils for autoimmune disease. So when I think about products that are a little bit more gentle, I think of carrier oils, butters, balms, hydrosols, so that you can still receive some of those awesome benefits without having to really worry about this conversation of overstimulating your immune system. I think that's really helpful when you're dealing with things like psoriasis and eczema. It's really important to use some of those skin nourishing butters and carriers for some of those problems as well. So it's important to keep that in mind too, that there are other alternatives beyond just essential oils.
Yeah, absolutely. And on Emily's point that there are a lot of options, if there's an oil that might be one that we aren't necessarily recommending, we wouldn't recommend for someone with an autoimmune disease, at least to start out with. Emily mentioned that there's a lot of other essential oils that you can use. So we have two amazing, they're not I only had my black and white printer, so they're not pretty, and I sincerely apologize.
But they really are pretty.
They're so pretty if you have a printer that has color. But we have, I think that these two downloadables, these two PDFs, could be hugely beneficial, and they can be found at planttherapy.com/downloads. So the first one is the constituent chart. So we are going to update the blog post that lets you know what constituents are known to increase your autoimmune response. And therefore, we might not recommend you start out with essential oils that have these constituents. So what you can do is you can... okay, there we go. The comments went away. What you can do is you can print this constituent chart off of the downloads page. Again, that's planttherapy.com/downloads. And it will tell you what essential oils are high in that constituent. So that will be super beneficial, because if I'm saying constituent and you're like, what the heck does that even mean?
Right.
How do I know what oil has that constituent? This constituent chart is going to be really helpful. So this is one that I would highly recommend that you print off. Or just save and have easy access to. And then the other one is called Essential Oils for Common Concerns. So this one, let's say, I know Hashimoto's actually runs in my family, and I should be having another blood test to see if I have Hashimoto's, because the first one was right after I had, well, not right after I had a baby, but the doctor was like, it still looks like maybe you need to level out a bit before we see for sure. But Hashimoto's, I have a lot of family members who have been diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And that's a thyroid autoimmune disorder. And I know that especially for a lot of them, they're super tired. That is one of the symptoms with Hashimoto's, is that they're just tired a lot. And so what you can do is you can go to this essential oils for common concern, and you can look at like energizing, right? There might be a section in here that's for energy, restful sleep support, immune support, pick me up, that's right here. And then it lists all the oils that can help with that. So this is another one that it's like, hey, if I can't, maybe use lemon, what's another oil that is listed on here that I could use? So this essential oils for common concerns and the constituent chart, highly recommend you check them both out. They can be found at planttherapy.com/downloads. And I also see Stephanie from our CS team is putting some links in there for everyone in the comments as well on Facebook. She's on there on Facebook right now. But two awesome charts if you want to check those out. Okay, let's see. If you find an oil that helps with an issue, can you use it daily under proper dilution, or will this potentially trigger an immune response?
It's a good question. In general, we recommend rotating your oils, right, to avoid sensitivity. So it's always good to try to switch it up a little bit, but that's where the GC comes into play. Look at the GCMS test result, look at some of the constituents that are common and are in higher amounts in that oil, and then find another oil that shares similar constituents, and that's where this constituent chart could really be beneficial, is finding something that you can rotate with, just so that you don't become sensitized or cause immune issues over time.
Yeah, great. this is another question we received. I suffer from psoriasis as well as psoriatic arthritis, and most likely, although undiagnosed, some form of IBD. So to say the least, inflammation is my biggest issue. Are there oils that can help with inflammation throughout the body when applied topically and that are safe to use?
I think one of the common themes when you're doing your research, the common oil that comes up for inflammation is frankincense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see that all the time. There's actually a lot of studies that you can look into it, especially helping with arthritis and pain. I would definitely take that one slow, though, because there are constituents in it that are stimulating. So, some of these have a little bit of gray area. Copaiba is another one that really helps with inflammation. But again, it does have those immunostimulating properties. So if you would like to try those, there's been a lot of success with people using those two oils for inflammation. Just take it slow and see how you react to it, and then, go from there. And when I'm thinking about arthritis and inflammation, I think, you're using it topically, but you can also use it in a bath. So you can dilute it down really, really low. So you're just getting a very gentle, Epsom salt bath with some of those those oils that help with inflammation, and you might find that to be very helpful, but maybe not. You know, it's so difficult to just say that this will work or this won't work. It's really all about you giving it a try, for sure. What's another one I saw was myrrh. Is very good for that as well.
And you can use like a frankincense hydrosol, like Anna mentioned. She's asking how you would use it. I would use it topically as a spritz, especially. It sounds really amazing to take a bath. As Katrina mentioned, get out, spritz with your hydrosol, your frankincense hydrosol, and just really receive the benefits that way. That's a little less aggressive than using the essential oil, but can certainly be beneficial.
Yeah, hugely beneficial. And Pete says, I take frankincense resin pills for my RA pain. So thanks for sharing, Pete. I think that is what's amazing about this community that you all are a part of here, is that you can learn so much from other people's experience. But just keep in mind that what works for one person might not always work for the other person. So don't feel discouraged if someone recommends something and it doesn't work for you. Like Emily said, check out constituents, try different oils. And I think over time, more often than not, people find something that does work. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time, especially when you're dealing with, some type of autoimmune disease or another type of disease, right? That's trying to counteract what you're trying to do, right? So you have to kind of work in harmony with your body. And that's really why essential oils are so amazing.
And great for kids. I love what Rachel's saying. My autoimmune kiddo uses frankincense hydrosol for everything. It's her happy smell.
It's her happy smell.
I love that.
Oh,
I love
that is
that.
so sweet.
It's my happy smell too.
Okay, so this is the question that came in from Pete. Any connection between essential oil usage and RA? Specifically, can essential oils be used to alleviate RA symptoms? Should any EOs be avoided if you have RA?
Yeah, I think this ties in really well to Katrina's suggestion.
With the inflammation.
Yes, with the inflammation. Using essential oils that are beneficial for pain, but also can provide some inflammation-reducing properties. I think that's your best bet, Pete, and I do think it will probably take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what works best for you, but certainly that's how I would approach it.
Amanda's asking, you have many types of frankincense. Does it matter which one for inflammation? And really all of them help with inflammation, but is there one that either one of you know of that's kind of like, this stands up above the rest?
I lean towards Serrata.
Okay, for inflammation.
Serrata for inflammation, but Serrata or Carteri would both be really great choices. I typically would lean towards like Feriana for skin issues.
Yeah.
So if you're using frankincense for like psoriasis or eczema, I would go with the Feriana. But if you're looking at like pain and inflammation, I would lean towards more towards Serrata or Carteri.
And Anna says, I've read that frankincense is one of the oils that should not be used for autoimmune. Is that true? So just like Katrina said earlier, I almost called you Emily.
It's okay. Big compliment. I'll take it.
Just like Katrina said earlier, there are constituents in frankincense that can
stimulate your
I always say
immune
boost
system.
immune system, which maybe is okay to say too. But
I think so.
Stimulate's a better word. Yeah, so there are oils, so we do recommend starting out slowly and doing something topically, and something like the frankincense hydrosol is going to be a little bit better because you have the more control over how much you're diluting, to make sure that you're extra diluting if to start slowly, because there are those constituents that can stimulate the
and
immune
I think
system.
Online especially, there's two oils that are very controversial when it comes to this, and frankincense is one of them. You'll see people are either like, yes, absolutely, or no, don't try it. Cinnamon is the other one that I've seen a lot. Like, some people find it very helpful for inflammation. Other people don't recommend it because it can stimulate the immune system. So again, it's really what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to get out of using that oil, and then listening to your body and how it reacts to it.
And I like approaching it from that standpoint, that synergistic effect, because one thing that I know can be really beneficial for pain and inflammation are your chamomiles. What I love about using a chamomile is it's a very calming oil as well. So you get the properties that can help with the inflammation, help with the discomfort, but also help you to feel more at peace. Not to say that frankincense doesn't do that as well, but just a different, chemical makeup that can help to support the synergistic symptoms that you may be experiencing.
Yeah. And this topic is specifically about essential oils and autoimmune diseases, but I do want to say that since having our CBD, every single time I am in one of our retail stores, and I really think, like every single time I have been in our retail stores, there is someone who comes in with arthritis and has seen a huge success with CBD.
Yeah,
so although that's not essential oil focused, especially when it comes to like pain and discomfort, CBD can be a huge asset. So,
and our
Emily's
topical
CBD
products
expert.
do contain essential
Some
oils
essential oils,
and
yeah.
CBD. So there are definitely a lot of great options there to explore on the CBD side of things. Anna says it's confusing because people take Frank and cinnamon capsules but are told not to use the oils. Ugh. Yes, Anna, it is. And that's the hard thing when we were approaching having this conversation and having this highlight of autoimmune disease is there is not a blanket statement.
Yeah.
We cannot come out to you guys and say this is going to work for everyone and this is not going to work or this is going to make things worse. It is so individual. So that's why you hear a lot of the back and forth. That's why you hear some people saying like, oh, you can't do it. And it may be because in their experience with their autoimmune disease, they have had a reaction to whatever, an oil or a product. So it's important to keep that in mind that we're all different and it is a little bit confusing just because of that individual experience.
And that's why it's so important to start slowly, right? Because you can always stop. You can always stop, but start slowly, make sure you're paying attention to your body and, to see if it's helping, and if it's not, then stop the use of it, right? And then you can try something else. Let's see, Christine says, when suggesting not to use particular essential oils, does that include not diffusing them?
Again, it's very individual. If you are highly sensitive to something, then yes, it means not diffusing them.
It would be any use.
Yes, yeah. If you find that it is something that you can use, then sure, just maybe reduce your diffusion times, things like that. Again, start slowly. You don't need to diffuse all day, every day. Diffuse for 30 minutes on an intermittent setting, and then shut the diffuser off.
Yeah. Tammy says uplifting the mood is important with chronic pain too.
Absolutely.
And I like that point. And I think that that's why I really wanted to start out this live by saying we can help with recommendations on symptoms, right? Because that's the kind of thing that even though it might not be a specific symptom of, someone with some chronic pain, right? Like people who suffer with chronic pain, uplifting the mood can be so beneficial. And so I think that, in Pete's comment here, he said, can essential oils be used to alleviate, the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis? So it's like, what are the symptoms, right? What would you say your biggest top concerns are that you want to help alleviate? And that's where we can start to break down and say, this essential oil has been known to help with this, or this essential oil has been known to help with that. And that's why it's so important to really understand, not just, I have this autoimmune disease, what can I use? But here are the symptoms that are affecting my life the most. How can I help use essential oils to address these symptoms?
And there is a comment on here about the difference between using the essential oil versus the actual herb. And that is a very important differentiation to make. The essential oil is an incredibly concentrated part of that herb. So, it's the difference between drinking a cup of tea to, well, I don't want to say ingest, you wouldn't want to ingest a cup full of essential oil, right? So you might, there's a lot of recommendations about herbal treatments to help with autoimmune, and that's just a very more gentle way of using those botanical parts that's not quite as concentrated as the essential oil. So that's also a different route that you can take if you're interested, learning more about herbal concoctions.
And it is important to learn more because some of those herbal concoctions do contain some of the different constituents that you don't get when you steam distill the same herb. So it's important to remember that safety guidelines for essential oils don't always translate to herbs and vice versa.
Okay, so I don't know if you want to start looking at these comments. Some of them I am not comfortable myself bringing up, so I want to make sure that Emily or Katrina understands, because some of them I don't understand the symptoms of these these autoimmune diseases enough to discuss it. But one was brought up, thyroid and Hashimoto. So I had mentioned earlier that a lot of my family members have been diagnosed with Hashimoto's. It was coming out of my mouth funky the first time, and I had to pull that back and think about it. And like I had mentioned earlier, a lot of their symptoms is lack of energy due to that. And so definitely working with essential oils that can help boost your energy, right? Can uplifting essential oils, mood lifting essential oils, any of those, starting out slowly.
Essential oils,
beneficial.
maybe for concentration, like rosemary or basil, used in very low dilutions.
And I actually liked that you said rosemary, because another one of the possible symptoms can be hair loss sometimes with Hashimoto. So I think rosemary has been known to help stimulate hair growth. So that could be something that you add to your shampoo and use or add to put it in like a scalp, like a carrier oil scalp, and stimulate with that. So that, and we have a lot of different hair DIYs on our blog, so you could go check out some of those hair DIYs and then just substitute whatever essential oils are recommended with, like what besides rosemary, what's another good one that helps with hair?
Sandalwood is one for hair. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
One that we do get questions about a lot, especially on our Safe Essential Oil Recipes page, is tinnitus, so ringing in the ear. And it's something that the three of us were talking about prior to going live. And really, it is difficult to use essential oils for ringing in the ear, but again, it can help with some of the experiences that you may have from that sensation. So oftentimes we see that people get dizzy, so you may want to use an oil that's really grounding, or even like peppermint always helps me when I'm feeling dizzy or distracted.
And then dizziness can cause nausea.
Yes.
So some of those oils
or
can help with
focus,
that.
loss of focus.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who have struggled with tinnitus have a really hard time focusing. So really an aroma that helps you to focus, uplifts you, maybe calm some of those additional symptoms, that's going to be super helpful.
We haven't talked yet about gastrointestinal issues.
Yes.
So that's another important one, and I think there's quite a lot of essential oils that can be pretty safely used. Like ginger is constantly recommended for issues with that. You can dilute it, put it in a carrier oil or a butter, and massage it on your abdomen. Can help with nausea. Again, like peppermint again is a good one for that.
Let's see. A lot of these are just duplicate questions.
A lot of concerns about inflammation. That's really.
I think a lot of autoimmune diseases cause inflammation.
Yeah.
A lot, if not almost all of them, maybe right? Because that's what your immune system's doing.
Yeah, and I think, some of our customers that have messaged into us with questions have more than one autoimmune disease. And when you're struggling with more than one, it's even more important to really start very slowly. Only use one essential oil at a time until you figure out how your body responds to that essential oil before going all in. That way, if something does occur, it's really easy to pinpoint what the cause is. If you're only adding in one oil at a time, and that's what changed in your daily routine, then you kind of know what led to the cause. So it's really it's very important to start slow, even if you have one, but especially if you have multiple.
Yeah. So I feel like, in our discussion and reading all of these comments, I feel like there's a very common theme or multiple common themes with people that have autoimmune disease. We've lost our comments.
One thing on Instagram really quickly,
okay.
Katrina, could you repeat the oil you recommended for the gastrointestinal issues for dances with hooves?
Absolutely. So ginger, so we have a ginger root extract. That is really great. Also, ginger steam distilled is a good choice. And not only can you use it topically, but also it would be a good option for a personal inhaler to keep with you, so that you kind of have something at the ready to help with those feelings of nausea.
I like that.
Great. Emily's going to keep checking Instagram comments, but we've lost our Facebook and YouTube comments. Maybe Danny can come. The screen's just white. I mean, it's just,
I'll
okay.
take care.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Apparently they're back. Okay.
Danny just had to stand up.
He did. It's his powers.
Yay, Danny. One thing that we haven't talked about much is neuropathy. And again, that's not something that essential oils will treat or cure, but there are a lot of great essential oils that can help with some of that nerve, those nerve issues. And one thing that I always encourage everyone to try is our CBD Nerve Body Oil. By far, out of all of the products that we have, from a customer experience standpoint, I hear time and time again that product is a must-have if you're going through some of those issues. So if you struggle with that kind of autoimmune disorder, that's a really good place to start. And even if you're not familiar with CBD, because it's a topical product, it utilizes essential oils. So it's a great way to just kind of dip your toes in and see how it goes.
So we do, I'm glad that I see a response that Pete was replying to another comment on here, but I did want to address medication. So as you all probably know, a lot of people who have autoimmune diseases are on medication. And there are some I don't want to say concerns, but just some information that you will need to know if you are on medication and using essential oils. There are some essential oils that we would not recommend with some medication. So again, that's another just kind of level, right, that you have to be aware of, that if you are on medication, we do recommend you, again, talk to your doctor about some essential oils that you may not want to use. What are some, like, off the top of your head, some essential oils that are more likely to cause interactions with medication?
Interestingly enough, a lot of your blue oils.
That's what I was gonna
Yes,
say,
first and foremost, that comes up a lot. But in general, it really does come down to the medication that you're taking. And really, we do have some resources that we can be helpful on that front, but it is important to check with your doctor and get their recommendation before moving forward with using them, because certain essential oils can contraindicate medications, meaning that it will either make the medication less effective or it will increase effectiveness and you lose your life of your medication. So it's really important to get into that.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of comments when we bring up talking to your doctor, a lot of customers saying, like, my doctor doesn't know anything about essential oils, or I don't trust my doctor with asking them about essential oils. And I think what is important is you need to do the research, right? Do the research, find out what you feel comfortable with, and then if you have any questions about, I'm reading this and it's saying it can do this to the medication, maybe talk to your doctor about that, right? Because they understand the medication more. They might not understand the essential oils, but if you do the research on the essential oils and how they can interact with medication, you can bring that information to your doctor and see if they have any concerns or can add any points or information to that. So I completely understand when people are hesitant to talk to their doctors about using essential oils when they have an autoimmune disease or when they're on medication, but do your research and then present it to your doctor, because they're the experts in one area, right? So you can become the experts in the essential oil area and then work together to find the best plan that is specific to your needs.
Yeah.
We are getting a lot of questions about rosacea and what kind of topical products we could look at for rosacea. So for me, I see a lot, of benefit from using carrier oils. When I think of autoimmune disease, especially skin concerns, one of the top carrier oils that always comes up is Tamanu. Tamanu is an amazing carrier for skin concerns. Also, rose hip would be a great carrier oil for rosacea. So there are a lot of
What about the healing balm?
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have had some amazing success stories from the healing balm. kind of a little bit of a story, but I've had my computer at Plant Therapy for 7 years. And I've recently been going through and cleaning it up because I have transitioned through the company a lot of times. And, some of it isn't applicable anymore, but I found an old folder that I had about feedback on the Healing Balm, and before and after pictures that customers had sent in after things like radiation and dealing with issues like psoriasis and eczema, and you would be amazed some of those before and afters. It's a really amazing product.
Yeah. And the Healing Balm there are some healing balms with essential oils in them that can help for specific things. But if you want to eliminate the essential oils, if you're nervous or just starting out or whatever that is, we have an unscented healing balm that does not have any essential oils in it. So just the benefits of like the butters and the carrier oils.
I use it for everything. I even melted some down and poured it into a lip balm container.
I use it for everything.
We have so many containers of Healing Balm in my house because it's a must-have.
It is great. It really is. Like I saw a thread. A customer who just recently got a tattoo and was asking, what other things. There's, I don't know what it is that a lot of people. It's like initials, like AD or something like that people use after getting tattoos. But this customer didn't want to use that, and a lot of customers were like, I don't choose to use that. And customer after customer after customer was like, Healing Balm, Plant Therapy's unscented Healing Balm.
So my boyfriend just got a sleeve touched up, and I was like, you have to use a Healing Balm, and I wish I took before and after pictures. It didn't even scab. I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I know, but we're not talking about
We go on a tangent with the Healing Balm, and it just doesn't stop, so...
Yeah,
it's definitely a good place to start if you're having skin issues.
Yeah. So there's another question that's come up on Facebook from Brooke, who says why, I don't know exactly what the question is, but something about why do some companies, it's fine, I got it. I got it out. I did. Why do some companies recommend the ingestion of essential oils while others do not? So that is such a fantastic question because Plant Therapy is one of those companies. I want to keep saying customers. Plant Therapy is one of those companies that do not, in general, recommend the ingestion of essential oils. And really, there's a pretty long list of reasons why, but just like super high level is almost everything can be addressed using essential oils topically or through diffusion. It is very, very rare. I've grown up using essential oils my whole entire life. My mom's a certified aromatherapist. I've had my certificate in aromatherapy for 7 or something years now. And there has been like 2 times in my whole life that I truly felt ingesting the essential oil was going to be more beneficial. And they were like pretty extreme, right? And I have the knowledge and the experience and the education to be able to know how to do that safely. But it's very, very rare that ingesting is going to make a bigger impact than using it topically or diffusing.
And it's unfortunate that the conversation about that is, well, you can't ingest them with this company because of the quality of them.
Right.
And that's simply just, misinformation. It's, it's just the policy that we've decided going forward. Our quality, like you can all see, we're completely transparent. So,
and some customers choose to ingest our oils, right? Like, and there's nothing with our oils that make them especially not safe to ingest. There are also some FDA regulations, right? We choose not to label our essential oils as supplements, and therefore we are legally not allowed to tell customers to ingest our essential oils, because otherwise we're telling them to ingest a cosmetic, which is how the FDA sees essential oils, unless they fall under the supplement category, which we have chosen not to go down that road. So there's, that the FDA has deemed some essential oils as safe. What's the
Grass.
Yes, generally recognized as safe for ingestion when used as food flavoring. So that's a lot of people will be like, well, the FDA says you can ingest. That is specific to food flavoring, which is also completely different than using it for therapeutic purposes. So it's like you open this whole can of worm when you talk about ingesting essential oils.
I think we could have a whole show.
We could, and maybe we should. Yeah, we have Nick's show planned, but maybe it will be the Friday after that, because that is a great idea, because it really is like a lot that goes into it.
And a constant thing that comes up.
But truly, I think what is the most important is when you're using essential oils topically and through diffusion, you're going to use 75% less essential oil, like an insane amount less. And having done this personally, having been around essential oils for 30 something years, I can tell you that there truly is hardly any reasons why you would need to ingest essential oils. You can almost always get as great of a benefit by using it topically or through diffusion, and you're going to save a lot of money by not using as much as you would with ingestion, and then you completely eliminate any possible concern that ingesting essential oils does bring up. So
I love what Anna said about people maybe not understanding the difference between gross and safe.
Yeah.
It's very important. I mean, lemon essential oil, as an example, would be gross, like it's used in flavoring. That doesn't mean you want to add it to your water.
No, I mean, I truly have seen multiple pictures from people that have sores in their mouth from ingesting essential oils incorrectly. Like, it just does not work the risk if you don't know what you're doing, and if you don't absolutely need to, right? Like it's just not worth that.
And when you're using essential oils as a flavor, that's something that comes up a lot. Like, if I can use it as a flavor, why can't I use it in my water? And it's because when it's used as a flavor, it's specifically formulated to be safe, right? It's not just adding a few drops of lemon to your water. It's incorporating the oil in a way that it is diluted, that it's dispersed, that it's completely safe, and it's using very, very minute amounts of essential oil.
Like a couple drops in a whole meal to feed a family.
Yes, huge batches. You don't add a couple of drops to water. It's not the same concept as adding a couple of drops to a huge batch, right? Yeah. And to have something that is formulated by an expert.
Yeah, so many things there. We're going to do an ingesting essential oils, and we're going to have you bring all your questions to us, because we know you will have a ton. So that will be a fun live. It's a topic that I'm especially get excited about, because I've been doing this a long time. I've been around
and
it a long
passionate
time.
About.
Yeah, just because I've seen the difference, and I've seen so many ways. And when people are like, I'm sorry, but that is the only way, you have to take these 10 oils internally to help, and I'm thinking I know for a fact you could do 2 drops topically and you're gonna get the same benefit, so that'll be a fun live to do for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've really covered most of the questions that were related to autoimmune disease. But what I just want to do a summary, and then you ladies can kind of add your summary. But consistently you will see pain, inflammation, energy, mood support, right? These are with people with autoimmune diseases and everyone else in the world. These are the symptoms that are constantly brought up. And so what, again, I just want to remind you is address the symptoms. Don't try to cure the autoimmune disease, because you will not have success doing that. Address the symptoms. Say, what is, with this autoimmune disease and in my life, what is the symptom that is causing me the most discomfort, causing me to not be able to, enjoy my life? Really think about what that symptom is, pinpoint that symptom, and start with that one symptom. Start slowly. Notice how your body is reacting. Is that symptom getting better? Is something else getting worse because of the essential oil you might be using? Are you using too much? Start slowly, but try to address, just pull it back. I know it's this autoimmune's this big thing, right? But try to take those puzzle pieces apart and just start with the symptom that is affecting your life the most. And I mean, just seeing how many customers have had success using essential oils, CBD, hydrosols, carrier oils. Start slowly, start introducing these things. Feel free to always reach out to our aromatherapist. Just see us at planttherapy.com. We talked about in the live last week, we have I don't know, 14 aromatherapists and like 16 more going through the program.
We
or
have
something.
a total of 24 people.
There you go.
In one program or the other.
There you go. So a lot. We have a lot of knowledge. We've been doing this for a long time. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. But start slowly and start with the symptom that's affecting your life the
and
most.
be patient and be kind to yourself as you're going through this experience, and be curious too. You know, you really want these to help alleviate your symptoms, and sometimes that does take time.
Yeah.
And that's important to remember.
Any last words of wisdom from you?
I agree.
And then just as a reminder, we talked about this at the beginning of the live, but just a reminder, we have a blog post. It's called Essential Oils and Autoimmune Disease, I believe. Check out that blog post. We are going to update it with constituents that we would recommend you either stay away from or just start slowly introducing them if you have an autoimmune disease. So we're going to update the blog post to add those constituents. But check out the blog post, and I highly recommend you check out the comments because it's just customers like you who are sharing their experience. So it really is amazing to hear those personal experiences from customers who have autoimmune diseases and have used or have tried to use essential oils to help address those symptoms. So check out that blog post, and then when you're like, constituent, what the heck does that mean? Check out our constituent chart, because when that blog post says, you know, this constituent is an immune stimulant, you can go be like, okay, you know, what was limonene? Emily said limonene was one. So you can look here and you can say limonene, bergamot is high in limonene, black pepper is high in limonene, right? And then you can say, okay, maybe I'll stay away from those ones a little bit.
And we'll make sure to link the constituent chart in the blog as well, just to make that
perfect.
access super easy.
And then another one, and these constituent charts can be found at planttherapy.com/downloads. And if you've never been to that page, welcome to a wealth of information.
Stop what you're doing.
Super fun DIYs.
Super fun. And coloring pages, and it's all sorts of fun. The other chart that I recommend you checking out is Essential Oils for Common Concerns. So this is like, you know, mental wellness. Here's all the essential oils, not all. Here's a list of essential oils that are highly known to help with mental wellness. Comfort during times of hardship and grief. A list of essential oils that are, like, there's a ton, but when we put on here, we were like, what are the ones that are really known to help with this? This is the chart that you want for that. Meditation and grounding, menstrual discomfort, digestive occasional digestive, outdoor annoyances, pick-me-up, respiratory support, all of them. So many different things. So that is the essential oils for common concerns. Again, these charts can be found at planttherapy.com/downloads. Check out the blog post. We'll make sure to we'll link them on the blog post when we update that. I think that about covers it. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sending in your questions. We hope we were able to at least maybe take that kind of nervousness away, so you just know how to start. But we really appreciate you joining, and we will be back next Friday. So I had told you last Friday we did a Q&A with us 3 aromatherapists, and autoimmune disease was talked about, so that's what this live was about. But we also had so many questions about using essential oils with the elderly.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So we are going to be addressing that next Friday. So make sure you come and join us then. And then I think the next Friday we're going to talk about ingesting. So thank you for joining. Have an amazing weekend, an amazing rest of your day. And we will see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.